And then last but not least, the newsletter journal. So thank you for keeping our community informed. Having a local newspaper is greatly appreciated. And your campaigns like Dust Off the Dogies truly keeps our community connected. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. All right, it's 7 p.m. We'll go ahead and call the regular council meeting on Monday, February 2nd, 2026 to order at 7 p.m. Please rise for the invocation and the pledge of allegiance.
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity we have of serving the community. We pray that you be with each of us, give us the guidance and the direction we need to go. Give us a good understanding of the things that are going on around town and continue to watch over each of us as we make decisions to lift up this city and to make it great in your name, Lord. Lord, we ask you things in Jesus' name. Amen.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Council, do we entertain a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion carries. Council, will we entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of January 20th, 2026?
Second.
We have a motion properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion carries. All right, moving on to nominations for recognition. Does the council have any nominations for recognition tonight?
One, I was trying to think of who it was, the organization was, but the storybook line that got put together in Centennial Park. If you haven't been through there,
Yep.
to look at that, what they put together, it was pretty good.
That was the natural resources.
Conservation, yeah.
Yep, Natural Resources District, for the Conservation District.
Yeah.
Ms. Mayor, that would be Aaron Darlington, I think was the primary one, and Caleb Carter were the two that worked on it.
Yeah, that was a good nomination, but I think it was pretty fantastic. Is there any further nominations for recognition? I'd like to offer up one. I believe the organization's called Hoover's Peace, and Deborah Lake, I think she runs it, and they provide a really valuable service to our community through helping special needs people. So, yeah. Is there any other nominations for recognition? Okay. Moving on to certificates of recognition. Black Hills Energy. You can come up to the front real quick. So thank you to your crews that braved the cold weather and restored power so quickly during the recent power outage. So your hard work and dedication to our community is truly appreciated.
Hey, thank you. It's a lot better than jumped onto, don't be well.
we really appreciate what you do in our community, so thank you guys for doing it. Is there anybody here from Powder River Energy tonight? Oh, boy. So, your hard work and dedication to our community are greatly appreciated. Thank you to the crews that braved the cold weather and restored power so quickly during the recent power outage. So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your hard work. And then last but not least, the newsletter journal. So, thank you for keeping our community informed. Having a local newspaper is greatly appreciated. And your campaigns like Dust Off the Dogies truly keeps our community connected. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. I probably blanked, I always blank in photos.
Oh, no, it's far worse than that.
Okay, there's no citizens business verbal tonight, so I might speed things up a little bit. There's no citizens business in writing, so we'll get straight into our old business with the penny tax. So just ask the council if you've all had enough time to look at the information provided and have some discussion on which direction you think we want to go.
Mr. Mayor, there's gonna be already the property tax gonna be on this ballot. Is this gonna make things, make people more angry because they're being taxed more? Or they're cutting one and raising this one?
So I don't think that it'll make people angry. I hope it won't make people angry, but we need to do something to try to improve some of the infrastructure like the roads in our community. And the citizens have a say. So if they vote against it and then we don't get the penny tax, then that's the citizens' choice. And so I would hope that it wouldn't anger anybody to consider, you know, whether they're gonna vote yes or no for a penny tax that would help us improve some of the streets, which is one of the things that I hear complained about most often in our community.
I think if we have a campaign to explain this, John, I don't think it will make anybody angry. I think
But
that they
isn't
all
this-
understand the need.
This is just getting it on the ballot right
Yeah.
now. That's all we're doing now, is getting it on the ballot. And then we can campaign for it afterwards.
Yeah,
It's
so
gotta get on the ballot first.
I'm just asking the council tonight if we are going to pick one of these options or multiple options and then allow me to go before the board of the county commissioners at the next commissioners meeting, the second commissioners meeting of the month. So one of them that kind of struck my fancy was there was also half penny economic development tax option. And then I thought that the best fit for our community was probably the 6th penny tax, which is the specific purpose tax. So I know that our public works director's been working on identifying some projects that we could possibly put up before the commissioners that would be funded through the tax. And I believe, and you might have to help me out, council or public works supervisor, but the tax goes on until we meet the full dollar amount of the projects that are proposed. So once we've met the goal for the projects, then then they quit taxing it. So,
Mr. Mayor, we can put it back on that next ballot issue, or next ballot if we have other projects we come up with in the meantime.
You're talking a specific purpose tax.
yeah,
And that's kind of what I'm leaning towards is option B, is that specific purpose. Just like the state said today at our presentation, there's things in there they have to do the same as we are, is taking priority, because there's some other roads that aren't gonna get taken care of, and that's what we're having to do in the past years that I've been here, that we've been trying to get grants and everything to try to fix sewer lines, water lines, roads. That's everything we hear from the public, so put it back in their hand if you want this stuff fixed.
Right,
We're trying to do everything we can,
that's right,
but we need your help now
that's
to
right.
boost this, and if the specific project needs, the money can't be used anything else, it can't go back into the general fund, as some people think. It's specifically for that project.
I agree.
So-
Council, in
so-
conjunction with other projects like water sewer, we're planning like Rodeo Sheridan Street, I've used that one several times. We've got a project plan, but we cannot afford the street portion of the project. It's 1.5 million just for our portion of the street. We have to come up with that somehow out of the general fund. This would be a perfect project for this penny tax, the 6 cent tax for special tax.
so it's a good way to supplement the plan that we already have in place and be able to finish paving an entire road
Correct.
instead of just the 2/3 that would be paid for through the street cuts on the project. So,
Mr. Mayor, along the same lines as what John was talking about with property tax, I do believe the county commissioners are looking at putting an EMS district initiative on the ballot as well, which would encompass yet another tax.
yeah, up to
So-
2 mils on the EMS district with the possibility of it being a total of 4. So, we are one of the poorest counties in the whole state, and if we want to get some things done, we don't, I mean, I was just in Douglas a few days ago, and I had to stay there, and I looked at my lodging tax receipt, and Converse County is the second richest county in the whole state, and they had a penny tax on the lodging that I paid to stay in their community. So, you know, Sweetwater County and the southwest corner of the state, they have specific use tax. They go by the power of the penny. We can't get things done unless we try to leverage a little bit of funding. And I understand that people are strapped, but we also as a community need to take a little pride in our community and you know, I don't think a penny is too much to ask.
The new store. This is the one-stop shop. We have a pharmacy. We have a bootlegger's liquor. The deli, the food that you can get at a lunchtime is so amazing. The coffee shop. Certain Friday mornings, there's 30 people sitting here in all these chairs. This is the hub for people to come and visit, have their coffee, have their donut. It's amazing what this area has done. Totally amazing.
We can't get things done unless we try to leverage a little bit of funding. And I understand that people are strapped, but we also as a community need to take a little pride in our community and you know, I don't think a penny is too much to ask. So, we, you know, people talk about, you know, putting it on the businesses and asking businesses to fund certain projects, but we put a lot on our local businesses. And I just think this makes sense, and then it's up to the voters. If they wanna vote for it, which I personally am gonna vote for it, because I don't mind paying an extra penny to try to get a street paved when I worked for the shop and I tried to cobble these together. And I worked with Greg through the years and we did the best we could with what we had. And we just, We just need to have the funding to get some work done. So, is there any further discussion? Hearing none, does the council entertain a motion to allow me to go before the Board of the County Commissioners at the second meeting of the month to propose the 6 penny tax, which is the specific use tax, and the economic development option tax?
Your Honor, I move that this caucus body allow you to pursue those two taxes with the county commissioners to a specific, the 6 penny specific project tax and the economic development.
I second
Oh,
that.
thank you.
We have a motion properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion carries. Thank you, council. I think this is gonna be great, and we'll see how it's received by the public.
Thanks
Moving.
for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening. Moving on to our next agenda item, new business, 2026 Year of the Veteran Proclamation. So, 2026 Year of the Veteran Proclamation. Whereas the willingness of America's veterans to serve our country has earned them our lasting gratitude. And whereas throughout our history, citizens from every corner of America have assumed the duty of military life. And whereas such service has required sacrifice, hardship, endurance, dedication, bravery, courage, and the highest level of patriotism. And whereas, in respect for and recognition of the contributions our servicemen and women have made, those who have served our country deserve special attention. Therefore, I, Tyrell Owens, as mayor of the city of Newcastle, do hereby proclaim 2026 as Year of the Veteran, and urge all citizens of Newcastle to recognize the valor and sacrifice of our veterans, and to remember that freedom is not free, and these are the men and women who paid for the freedom all of us enjoy today. In witness here, whereof I have hereunto set my hand in the official seal of the city of Newcastle, Wyoming, this 2nd day of February 2026. Does the council entertain a motion to approve the 2026 Year of the Veteran Proclamation?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion carries. Thank you, council. And thank you, Clerk Haggerty, for preparing this. All right. Now's the busy part of the meeting. Committee and council member reports. Item number 1, building inspector. So council, I've had some department head meetings over the last couple of months. We've been talking about hiring the building inspector position. The building inspector's position is still open. Stephen Dietrich, our engineer, has been performing some of the duties. But as I voiced at the last couple of council meetings, we want to try to do hire the position and then have a way to share with Upton. So through this process, I was looking at Clerk Haggerty had helped me look at our investments portfolio, and then through our conversation, we kind of came up with the idea that we might be better served if we just left our investments alone for right now. But she also pointed out that we are at 47% of our budget right now, and it might be possible to advertise and fund for the position and fund it through our current budget to the end of the fiscal year. So, I just want to know if the council has any feedback. I think it's important for us to have a building inspector. They provide a valuable service to our community. And then I'm also excited about the prospect of the rare earth minerals refining process that Upton's putting in. And I think that it could have some positive impacts on our community. So there would be probably an uptick in the amount of work that the building inspector would have to perform. And so I think it's important. Plus there's a once a year training that's coming up right now, that it would be nice if we could get somebody hired and then get them to that important training that's coming up. So I guess what I'm asking the council is if the council would entertain a motion to approve the advertisement and hiring of the vacant building inspector position and fund it through the leftover budget that we have right now. Yeah. I'm not hearing any motion.
Your Honor, I will move that we pursue hiring a building inspector, hopefully one that we can share with Upton. And let Mr. Dietrich, and let's buy the advertisement and whatever we need to do to get it done. Amen.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. We have a motion properly seconded. Is there any discussion?
Is this a full-time position or part-time?
It's a full-time position.
I think when we was first looking at this, they were saying we didn't have money in the budgets to cover. So I was more inclined to wait until we got done with this year's fiscal budget so we could look in that and see what we're gonna be able to have to add into the next fiscal budgets. So that's the reason I'm reluctant to try to move
That's kind of
forward.
how I feel too.
Okay. So the reluctance, I think, is understandable. And that's why I was looking at investments. And that's gonna come up here later in the committee council member reports. But I think it's important that we get it identified and funded. And then, once we get to the end of the fiscal year, we can try to budget for it for the next fiscal year. But there's no guarantee. It's hard to hire the position. So there's no guarantee that we're gonna get anybody in the position in the next 5 months before the next fiscal year comes up. So I mean, if we could keep prorating it until we get an applicant or we get somebody that is willing to fill that role. So I think it's worth, I don't really think it's a risk. I think it's something that we should be able to do. And we currently have the budget to do it. Well, like when I was looking at our investments, right? We've been sitting on our current investment portfolio for the last 5 years, and we haven't really touched it.
That's a good thing.
That is a good thing, but we've also accrued, the current interest rate for our WyoStar account, which is what I was looking at, is 3.64%. So we've been drawing that, we've drawn enough to fund the position right now in interest. So on money that we're not touching, it just sits there and we don't make it work for us. So there were some concerns that were brought to me by staff about funding it out of our investments. So I moved on to, we're at 47% of our budget and we got 5 months to go. So we're better than halfway into our fiscal year. So, and like I said, I don't think we're gonna end up hiring somebody right off the bat. So maybe it'll be 4 months, maybe 3 months before the end of the fiscal year, you know? I think it's worth entertaining, but when is the training, Greg and Steve?
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, the training that is scheduled for the first week in March, so it's March 2nd through the 6th, it's international code compliance type training. It doesn't necessarily prepare you to take the certification exam, but you do learn a lot about new changes that are coming for the code compliance. As you know, about every 2 years, they come out with another edition of code compliance. We're at 2024, year 2024 right now. We're still operating in 2015's version, so we need to get that updated so we can be up to snuff with what everyone else expects to see and have to adhere to. But besides that, the discussion earlier about, sure, if there's an interest, I can tell you, just from people who know that the position is vacant, have basically come and talked to me alone, one-on-one. There's at least 2, if not 3 people that are interested in the position right now, provided it is full-time funded, because they would have to, they would be leaving a full-time position to come here. So that's the risk, I guess, that you're trying to describe if it doesn't get funded into the next fiscal year, to ask someone to come here that's already working a full-time job with benefits to come here.
So, council, we're still in discussion. If we're not comfortable making a decision tonight, maybe we could wait until the next council meeting. But then it's crowding the dates for the training.
Mr. Mayor, what would that cost share look like with Upton? If we were to hire somebody and basically loan them out to do work in Upton, what would that look like?
So, I think that what I was hoping, right, is that if we were to share our building inspector with Upton, that we would, maybe they would commit to like 1 day a week through the calendar month, or maybe, every other week. But it probably wouldn't be the lion's share of their duties. But I mean, I think it would, provide some supplement for the cost of having the building inspector. So, but
1 day a week isn't, I don't think it's feasible for a building inspector to go to Upton. It'd have to be, 2 or 3 times, probably.
Well, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, this detail hasn't really been discussed to the level of detail that you need answers for tonight with the town of Upton. But, I would imagine a program that's brand new to the town of Upton would probably start out a lot slower than it would as it gains traction later on.
I have to say, while everybody else is thinking about running for election and how to do that, we have a budget. We have a serious budget. We have a legislature that has weighed in, I think, on one vision of Wyoming, and I think it's very important to be thoughtful. And let me say, not a legislature, a joint appropriations committee. But that's the job I have. That's what I was elected to do, and I'm not. Yeah, when I always tell this story. So Dad told me to go water the chickens, and so I spent the entire morning figuring out a way I didn't have to carry the pails of water over to the chickens. And at noon, he said, "So, did you get the chickens watered?" And I said, "I got this really cool thing, Dad." And he said, "But I told you, go water the chickens." And I think I've got that job. Make sure that we get through this budget session. Thank you.
I would imagine a program that's brand new to the town of Upton would probably start out a lot slower than it would as it gains traction later on. And depending on the demand that they're trying to see and plan for ahead of time with housing needs?
So I mean, we got a lot going on, council. We got our resolution that we passed last meeting for the unmet housing, grant through the state. We have, there's a lot of balls in the air, right? We have, the idea that this building inspector, if it's a shared position, which I think regionalization in this form is a positive thing, for our county. And it builds strong relationships but we kind of have to see how it fits, right? So first we have to hire the position, and then if we can't hire the position or it takes a long time, that's a problem. But if we hire it right away, then we can start working on onboarding and figuring out, start communication with the town of Upton and figure out what the cost share looks like, you know? But until we hire the position, it doesn't make a lot of sense to do any of this, so.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, conversations with Upton, the person we really need to talk to, we haven't been able to get with to do it. I'm hoping this next week, we'll both be down in Cheyenne, or this week. We're gonna have more conversations about it, but he's been fairly tied up with projects. He's got 6 projects going on right now. As far as how much work there is, will depend on what the conversation is we have with Superintendent Lindstrom and what he thinks he'll need. So we're planning on talking about it this week when him and I meet up down in Cheyenne.
So, I'll go ahead, Walter.
Well, this opens up a question I would have if we do have this, hire this inspector and then down the road it gets shared out to Upton, would that not also require that maybe Osage would have to be involved or other places within the county?
Well, so, it would take,
The county doesn't have a building code, I don't think.
Okay.
and, Osage is an unincorporated town. So, but the thing is we would have to enter into an MOA, which is a memorandum of agreement. So I guess the more stringent language in a memorandum of agreement is when it deals with wages and money. So normally we've dealt with memorandums of understanding, which is just, it gets bumped up a notch when you throw in the agreement word. So, I don't know, council, if we need some more time to think about it, or we wanna wait for Public Works Director to come back from, having some discussion with Public Works, Director, Lindstrom.
I think we should table it till next meeting, until we get more information.
Okay. Tom, do you wanna move to table this?
No, I'll withdraw my motion.
Okay. So Tom withdrew his motion. Do we have a motion to table?
I'll make a motion to table the discussion until next meeting.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to table properly seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by saying nay.
Nay.
All right, we have a nay vote, that's good. Okay, we'll go ahead and move on, and thank you, council. So RCAC Community Coordinator position. So, before you all, we have a resume. So my question, it's our only and lone applicant. So, I was wondering if the personnel committee would like to conduct an interview, or if everybody wants to read through the resume tonight, and maybe we move forward with hiring the community coordinator.
I like your first idea, Mayor, to get our personnel committee into this and get a sit down with this lady and get to know her and and then they can recommend something for us.
Okay. I did have a conversation, with someone who put this applicant on our radar. And she told me that she thought that she would be a good candidate and, that she thought she would be able to, because she was applying for something that was fairly similar. And then she also has, I'm being vague here because I don't want to throw it all out. So if you guys are gonna interview her, please before the next council meeting, let's try to get a personnel committee together, or the personnel committee together, and get the applicant interviewed. So if you guys want to work amongst each other to get a meeting scheduled or an interview scheduled, then it'd be appreciated. And then so, there's one more piece of paper I have to sign to fully execute our, RCAC, community, our grant, our economic development study. So I have to sign one more piece of paper, then we just have to get a community coordinator hired. And then we'll be off to the races. But, there is a HUD, let me see, sorry, I'm gonna consult the text here.
Can I ask a question while you're
Yeah.
doing that? Is she the executive director now of the Chamber of Commerce?
Yes,
I don't think so, but maybe she is.
she is.
And when did that happen?
In the current position, yeah.
I didn't know that Tia was not.
No, this just recently happened, probably in the last month and a half, maybe. What's it, Sam? Sorry, I saw that on the desk.
And it says in my current position, is the director of Chamber of Commerce. Maybe that's she.
Yeah,
Well, this is part-time that we're talking about, so she wouldn't
Yeah.
have to leave that to do what we're asking her to do.
no, when you put two part-time positions together, you get a full-time position.
Well, maybe she'll need that.
So, I was talking to Amity Renbolt, the one that's in charge of our program for the city, and, she said it would be ideal if the person could start in, late February, early March, because they have their virtual HUD convening for all the HUD, the first week of March. And then that could be a great introduction to the work. So, anyway, I guess if the council's gonna work together, the personnel committee to set up an interview and get our lone applicant interviewed, then that would be greatly appreciated. So we'll go ahead and, is there any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and move on to item number 3, meeting with Senator Steinmetz. So, Monday, we had a meeting with Senator Steinmetz. I didn't want there to be a quorum present, so I invited Councilman Kenny and Councilman Voss to attend, and all the department heads. And then it's great because Councilman Kenny is also a department head. So we had all of the department heads together, and we talked with Senator Steinmetz for a little while before the, about an hour and a half before the town hall, when Chip Nyman and Senator Steinmetz came to the senior center and gave their town hall. So we just kind of brought up, we had a lot of thoughtful discussion about how funding's working in the town and what programs are available, and if Councilman Kinney or Councilman Voss have anything to add, or any of the department heads. The only one we were missing was the chief of police. But he was probably busy working a shift on the street or something.
I must have missed the invite somewhere.
Okay.
I think you intentionally didn't invite me and you're just telling everybody you did, making me look like a bad guy.
No, it's not like that. We just talked to Senator Steinmetz about, our concerns about not having funding to fix streets, and I wish I would have brought my notes, but I kind of went around the horn. Does anybody have anything else to add? Because I'm slipping here.
Mr. Mayor, I guess one of the big takeaways that I took away from the meeting was, Senator Steinmetz understands the importance of the property tax. And, she really feels as though that this is an education issue with property owners as to not understanding where that money goes. It is Representative Nyman said at the town hall, the whole reason that this is getting put on the ballot was because of signatures that were collected from around the state from property owners who want this property tax. So she's gonna start working with some audiovisual experts and try to put together a reel to help educate the public as to where this money goes. Mr. Representative Nyman indicated to those in attendance that legislators did not come up with this on their own. It was strictly the citizens from the state that want this tax. So, there's a real push to get the education out there as to why these property taxes are the way they are and where that money goes and the ramifications if they go away. That was one of the biggest things that I took away from that meeting.
I thought that was a really positive statement on the senators, because she wants to try to educate the public as to how those funds are specifically used and what the absence of the funding looks like for every county and community.
This place is full of love. You can tell the people that like to be with old people because they really take care of you good and are very kind.
Twice a day, every day, activities people have an organized activity that's always interesting.
Everybody loves to play bingo. We play it 3 times a week here. We also have ceramics that you can paint. Really pleasant to live here. It's a good place to be.
Because she wants to try to educate the public as to how those funds are specifically used and what the absence of the funding looks like for every county and community. So the thing is something that I gleaned that I didn't know before was that the 25% tax cut was something that it wasn't automatic, right? You had to go and apply for it. So only 480 people in Weston County actually went and applied for the 25% tax cut. And then in Goshen County, it was like 680 or 660 or something like that. That out of like the whole county worth of people, there was only a very minuscule amount of people that actually applied for the tax cut. I think a lot of people in Wyoming realize that we don't have economy of scale, and we need to be able to leverage some of these tax dollars so we can actually fix things. And so I thought that spoke volumes. you know, 480 people in our county, you know, and how many do we have in our county total, like 4,500 or 4,600 people, something like that. Anyway, it's pretty small now. So,
Was that limited to age?
Yes.
what, the
application for the tax?
for the tax exemption?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that was actually,
Yeah.
So all 480 that were old enough put in for it, is that what you're saying? I didn't know exactly,
I'm
that's
not
how.
saying anything, I'm just saying it was age discriminative.
Okay. Thank you for that comment. Okay, does anybody have any questions about our meeting with Senator Steinmetz? I'll invite, if we have another meeting in the future, I'll rotate and I'll invite some different council members to attend so that you all get a stab at it. No, hearing nothing, we'll move on to item number 4, which, Councilman Kenny already alluded to. So we had a town hall meeting, at the Weston County Senior Center. Myself, Councilman Kenny, Councilman Stevenson, and Councilman Butts were all there. And I got to invoke mayor privilege, so I got to ask 2 questions in a row. And I just, I wanted to provide some support for the Wyoming Business Council because we currently have a project with them. So I questioned the representative, Chip Nyman, he's our Speaker of the House in Wyoming, about the Business Council, and I just voiced some support for the Business Council, but then he had brought up a question of some kind of fraud that had taken place during COVID time. So I haven't followed up on that. I followed up on it a little bit at the meeting, but I would like to know a little bit more. So he provided me some contact numbers to reach out to some folks that had done a study. And then the other thing I brought up was just the lack of funding that's available to communities in regard to our roads. So there's the roads again. I'm talking about the roads a lot tonight, but the Speaker of the House had mentioned that they're looking at the roads and the lack of funding for community. So he had mentioned consensus grants. So I did a consensus grants, or they give the county a pot of money, and then they just kind of take it away from the state, give it to the county to divvy it out how they see fit. And I talked to some folks that lived in Basin a long time ago when there was the consensus grant funding, and the first year that they did it, I guess everybody sang Kumbaya, and they all were very generous with each other, all the communities. They said, oh, you can have some of my money that I just got to further your project, and they kind of mixed and matched, and they did really wonderful work in their county. And then the second year that it was available, the gloves came off and everybody was fighting over the money, and it wasn't very fun, I guess. So, but it was an interesting idea, and then it might be nice to, the idea is small government, give it to the counties, and then the counties allocate the funding. So if they bring that program back, I'll be happy to utilize some of that funding to fix some things in our community. But anyway, it was an interesting, and then there was also a sidebar conversation that went on where I brought to the representative's attention our small gas line. So I'm jumping to item number 6 because it corresponds with item number 4 on the agenda. But I let him know that we were running into issues where our infrastructure wasn't good enough to allow for any more residential gas taps. And it turned out, so having a good relationship with our legislators is important. because we kind of go at it alone as communities, but he had gotten that information at the town hall, and then he went to a meeting in Laramie, and he was talking about energy, and he bumped into a representative from Black Hills Energy, and that was fresh in his memory. So he brought it up with the person from Black Hills Energy, and they are in fact planning to upgrade their infrastructure in our community and up the size of the pipe in the not too distant future. So
Excellent.
we can kind of see how that goes, and hopefully it happens soon. And then if I get more information on it, I'll report to the council. Or if any of you guys hear about it, please bring that forward. So that's all I have. Town hall meeting in Black Hills Energy. Does the council have anything else that they'd like to add? The members that attended. I guess I did enough talking for all of us, so I'll move on to item number 5, Boys and Girls Club. We had another steering committee meeting, so I was unable to attend, unfortunately, but our grant writer, Beth Blackwell, attended another virtual steering committee meeting with folks that are all of a like mind, trying to get the Boys and Girls Club project moving. But there had been a facility that come up on the market, so I'm not going to provide any details, but they were looking at some of the facilities that have come on the market in the community and trying to find out ways to leverage some grant funding, possibly purchase, because it seems like it would be more to our benefit and easier to come by a grant that actually bought an existing facility instead of trying to build a brand new facility. But I'd also talked to our grant writer about some out-of-the-box ideas that I had about trying to leverage some grant funding. So, and then she had some really good ideas too, because Beth always has really good ideas. So anyway, any questions on the Boys and Girls Club? Hearing none, I'll go ahead and move on to the Finance Committee. So, Finance Committee, I am working on trying to find somebody to provide some training on our governmental investment accounts, because I don't know a lot about governmental investing, and since I've been on the council for the last 5 years, we haven't even touched any of our investment accounts, and then they all have really strange breakouts. So the WildStar One account is 37% allocated to the general fund and 63% allocated to wastewater. And apparently we had dipped into it a couple of years ago to help with the lagoon dredging project. So I was a sitting member of the council, and I didn't quite understand how that even worked. So I think that I could benefit from some more training on, our investment accounts and how we move money in and out, and a good way to. So what I want to eventually get to is an investment policy through this council. So I want us to work together through the Finance Committee, and I want us to come up with an investment strategy and policy so that we can set up future councils for success through investing wisely. So this just kind of just happened recently, but I mean, since I've been mayor, and working with the council, we looked at our investments and found out that we had close to $1 million sitting drawing 1% interest. So I think we need to regroup and figure out, how to set our other councils and ourselves up for success in the future. So it's a work in progress right now, and I'll report at the next council meeting when I have somebody on the hook to provide us with some training. Does anybody have any questions about the finance committee? Hearing nothing, we'll move on to department head reports. Item number 1, Attorney Dublin Hughes.